most among defensive tackles.
Yes.
Shannon, is KC on upset alert if they don't get Jones back?
Yes, because if you think about it, the Lions were picked to win that division. Skip this. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Stephen A.
Yeah.
They were picked to win the division since the first time since it realigned in 2002.
Cool.
So we're talking over 2 decades. They're picked to win that division. We know what they represent offensively. With Jared Goff and the cast of receivers that he has, they took a running back in the first round. They traded for another, signed another one in free agency.
Cool.
So they're going to be offensively, they're explosive. Chris Jones is one of the 5 best defensive players in all of football. He was the #1 graded defensive interior lineman all of last year. Finished 3rd in the Defensive Player of the Year rating. He's the one guy that you don't have to do anything special for, and he can go get your quarterback. Now, the big defensive acquisition that they made, he suspended the first 6 games. So now, your 2 best defensive players, the 2 guys you're counting on to go get the quarterback on the ground, won't be there. And we know that's what got them in trouble over the previous years when they didn't get to the Super Bowl, was the ability to get to the opposing team's quarterback. So now, without Chris Jones, you got to pay him. If you want any hope, any chance of repeating, Chris Jones has to be on this roster at some point in time. And you can't let it get 8 games into the season because he's going to show up because he wants to get credited for a season. So he has to play at least 8 games. So he's going to come eventually, but you don't want to give these games away. The AFC is a lot better. Cincinnati is going to be better because they got an offensive line now that I believe can protect Joe Burrow. Hey, Buffalo says, you know what? Last year was a little slip up for a hiccup for us. We'll be better. I like what the Chargers have done in L.A. with Herbert and those receivers. So they can ill afford to let this thing drag out. You're going to have to pay him. Patrick Mahomes took that bargain contract just so you can have guys like Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and you can pay those guys. Pay Chris Jones his money. He said, I don't know what he's asking.
Because you've been doing the pot Club Shay Say, y'all check that out. Club Shay Say. I've been on there.
Oh, you do it.
It was posted
great.
Thursday. You can go to Club Shay Say now. Check it out because I'm on all week long. All right, and you coming on my show, on my podcast next week. Okay. Here's the deal, y'all. Here's the deal, Shannon. Here's what you're missing because you're a little rusty.
Okay.
The question was upset alert, as in this week. We ain't talking about the season. We talking about this week. Upset alert. You're wrong, my brother, and here's why. First of all, we're talking about the dude in Patrick Mahomes is 5-0 in season openers with 18 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That's number one. Ain't no upset alert with the Detroit Lions because of Chris Jones' absence. I know he had 15.5 sacks last year. I know he didn't miss a game. I know all of this. I know what a study was, being ranked the top 10 NFL player in the modern right now this season. I get all of that, right? But here's what I'm looking at right now. First of all, the Chiefs have won 8 straight consecutive season openers, the longest active streak in the NFL. Let's get that out of the way. There's still Andy Reid there, even though there's no Eric Bieniemy. So I got that part, okay? Obviously, their success is predicated on their offense. They've got to lost a couple of tackles. They got to be careful about that because you want to protect Patrick Mahomes. We saw when he didn't have an offensive line in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay. What happened to him? That's something they rectified to some degree last year. They lost a couple of guys this offseason. We'll see what happens. But without Chris Jones, the Kansas City Chiefs in his career have been 10-5. Chris Jones has, and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from his greatness. I know the brother is great. He had 2 postseason sacks. Both of them was in the AFC Championship game. Prior to that, he didn't have any. So let's just call it what it is. I'm saying to you, the season opener, going up against the Detroit Lions, you're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. I'm sorry. I understand they need Chris Jones because the bottom line is their defense might be suspect and Detroit can put up some points. But forgive me if I got Kelce and I got Patrick Mahomes, okay, and I still got Andy Reid there calling plays. I'm not overly concerned about an upset alert.
They're going to be much better because I like what Dan Campbell has done. Now, I've never seen anybody get as much credit for not making the playoffs as Dan Campbell did.
That's true. That is true.
But they believe in him. If you look at the way those guys play, if you listen to what they talk and how they talk about Dan Campbell, they believe in him. They love playing for him. You've got to have a guy because at the end of the day, you got to score points, but you've got to get guys that can go stop you from scoring.
Fairness, question. Question, not a debate. Question. You just talked about you've never seen a guy get as much credit as Dan Campbell. Detroit has been big up this offseason because of how they ended the season. So, there's times that we're going to debate, and there's times I'm going to defer to a 3-time Super Bowl champion and a Hall of Fame tight end, arguably the best ever. Do you find yourself concerned that the hype might be a little bit too much for Detroit, particularly when you open in the season on a Thursday night on the road at Arrowhead Stadium against the reigning defending Super Bowl champion led by the best quarterback in football?
With the banner dropping.
How about that?
It's going to be,
How about that?
Be electric. The thing that I caution against, and I always tell teams this,
Right.
you don't get to pick up where you left off last year. I understand you won 4 or 5 games to close out your season, but this is an entirely different season.
Yeah, but would they get that? That's what I'm asking.
Can I add
Yes.
one point here, though?
Yes.
Detroit won the draft.
Yes.
I mean, no one had a better draft than Detroit.
Yes.
So it's not the same team.
No, it's not the same team, but they have the same offensive pieces. The question is, can that offense, and I believe they can. Now, it's not like Detroit.
Swift is gone. David Montgomery's there as the new running back right now.
Yeah, and I like Gibbs from Alabama.
Okay, is that an upgrade for you is what I'm asking? At the running back spot for them?
I think it is because Williams was more of a goal line guy. You get the ball close to the goal line, he got the ball into the end zone. But I think with the running backs that they have now are more dual purpose. They're more versatile than what Williams is. That's not to take anything away from him. But at the end of the day, it's not like Detroit has a great defense either. You call a defense, he's the one guy that when you look at it, when we go into an offensive meeting, when I was playing, we go up there, that's Reggie White. We got to find out. We got to know where he is. We got to handle him.
Right.
That's Bruce Smith. We got to know where he is. We got to handle him. We got to know where the Ray Lewis is. The Junior Seau's rest his soul. There are certain guys that you got to know where they are.
Leave it there.
He's that guy.
I'll leave you with this. Jones' 39 pass rush wins against double teams, 14 more than any other player. Aaron Donald had 25, and also Detroit won 8 of their last 10.
They did win 8 of their last 10, and Jared Goff was exceptional, but at the end of the day, their defense was so porous. I mean, they ain't got nowhere to go but up.
All right, well, let's see. Let's
against Patrick Mahomes opening day.
Let's let them play the game.
Be a shootout.
Other 2 teams won the Super Bowl that season. That includes the Brady-led Bucks and the 2000 Ravens, who brought in both tight ends from the NFL 1990s all-decade team. One of those being you, Shannon.
And you know what, Skip?
Skip. It's okay. It's okay.
It's been 7 years. Stephen A.
Right, I got you.
I'm laughing because Ben Coates went to Livingston.
Okay.
I showed him around. He came to visit Savannah State.
Wow.
And he said he wanted to start.
For the PWIs out there, predominantly white institutions, or those who go there, we're talking about HBCU right now, Livingston, Savannah.
I showed him.
Salem State, yeah.
I showed him around. He said he wanted to start. I said, well, don't come to Savannah State if you want to start because they're moving me to tight end and you can't beat me out.
That's right.
You went to Livingston, had a great career.
Wow.
So
thank you. That's a great story. That's a great story. That's a great story, bro.
So back to Rodgers. You said the expectations because here it is. How long is he going to play? Is he going to play 1 year? Because if he plays,
I think he's playing at least
Let's
2.
back it up. Here's what the debate is.
Okay.
Does Rodgers need to make it to the Super Bowl year 1?
If he plays 1 year, yes. If he plays 2 years, because what he's up against is Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. 2 guys that are his peers as far as talent, accolades, and accomplishment. What did Peyton do? He went to Denver. They lost in the divisional. The next year, they lose in the Super Bowl to the Seattle. The next year, they lose again in the divisional to the Colts. The next year, they win the Super Bowl against Carolina.
That's right.
Tom Brady, what does he do? Immediately, they go to the Super Bowl, they win. So but
that's what's predicated on their defense with Tyler and those against those boys. That's different ball game right there.
But Tom went to Tampa.
Oh, you're talking about Tampa. Got it. I thought you were talking about New England. Okay, go ahead.
2 guys that spent a long time. I think Peyton was in Indy for 14 years. Tom was in New England for 20 years.
Okay.
Goes over. Aaron is up under the same amount of pressure. You said Tampa had a young defense, young, hungry defense. They had a JPP. They brought in Ndamukong Suh. They had those 2 young linebackers, Levante David and Devin White. They had a nice secondary. They said, you know what? All we need is a quarterback that can take care of the football because he comes with instant credibility.
Yes, he does.
So Aaron Rodgers comes with instant credibility. I heard Sauce Gardner. I heard what Quincy Williams said. I heard what all those guys were talking. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got Aaron Rodgers. The number one thing, one of the number one things that kills relationships, marriages, is uncommunicated expectations. Expectations has been communicated.
That hasn't won a Super Bowl, hasn't been a Super Bowl since 1968. They ain't been to the playoffs since in the last 12 years. That ain't won a division title since 2002. Don't get me wrong, you gotta make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But if Aaron Rodgers lost to Patrick Mahomes, is there shame in that game? I don't think so. If he lost to Joe Burrow, who, by the way, 3 years in the NFL, first year he gets hurt, second year he goes to the Super Bowl, Third year in the AFC Championship game, to the point where we're looking at Josh Allen in Buffalo and saying, excuse me, you got to up your game because you were supposed to be that dude with going up against Mahomes, potentially after that divisional playoff loss 2 years ago, which was epic, right?
Yes.
But now you've been supplanted by Joe Burrow. So I'm looking at the AFC, the things that you brought up at the beginning of the show. We got Tua, we got Josh Allen, we got Joe Burrow, we got Lamar Jackson, we got Mr. $230 million guaranteed man Deshaun Watson, we got Trevor Lawrence on the come up, we got Mahomes, we got Justin Herbert, we got Russell Wilson. I'm going like this, if you Aaron Rodgers, you need to make the playoffs. You need to show up. But if Sauce Gardner and those boys, and Salah, that defense don't show up and do what it's supposed to do, we gonna notice that. Now, Aaron Rodgers can't play bad, but if he plays well, but the defense lets you down. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.